Hi, I'm Susan Cranston, and I'm the host of Authentik You, a talk show that features real people in our community who have made changes in their life or in their career to follow a more authentic path. And that authentic path often leads them on a journey of new beginnings. In some cases, people can follow their passion their entire life, but always be working for someone else. And they've always had the wish, or perhaps it came upon them later in life, to decide to make a change and go out on their own so that they can follow their dreams, follow their passion, but do it exactly the way they had always envisioned that they want to. And many times that means stepping outside of their comfort zone and really establishing themselves in a community where perhaps they've lived but never really completely reached out to ask for help, to build connections and establish their message. I'm absolutely delighted today to have a wonderful guest, Pam Salisbury, who is the owner and founder of Florish Florals. It's a floral shop here in Kitchener, Ontario, and she has got a fabulous message. She's an eco-florist who really is mindful and conscientious of the products and services that she provides in the community. She also does a ton to feature local artists, people who are also trying to do things on their own in a very authentic way. So Pam, I've run into you so many times in the last year at different events, and just been fascinated by you opening up your business, and that happened just last October, I think you told me. Can you tell me a bit about your journey? Because you've worked for other florists in the past, and then you've branched out on your own now.
I've been very fortunate in that I've been able to travel throughout southwestern Ontario and work for large event companies, wholesale companies, doing lots of workshops and taking teaching workshops, but also taking workshops with some top designers, and just being able to really experience a side of the floral industry that most people aren't aware of. And you can spend your whole life working for one flower shop and never really branch out beyond that. So I've had the opportunity to do all these wonderful things, and sometimes as well still working at typical flower shops and honing my skills, and just being able to over the years just okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to do?
So learn and grow. You've had a lot of experiences. You've always been following your passion or playing to your strengths. But at some point along that way, you decided, I want to do this on my own. And what was it that sort of made that change for you, or the shift that said, hey, I've just got to do this my way?
I don't think there was anything, like there wasn't the flick of a switch. It's just gradually, you're working for someone else, and you're in a creative industry. And you're making things all day, but it's kind of to someone else's parameter. You're still working within someone else's business. And I think it was just that, there's always something in the back of my mind going, if this was my shop, or you always have this little picture of, if this was my shop, I would be making a ton of these for Easter or Mother's Day, and this is what it would look like, and this is how I would be selling it. So it's that notion just keeps creeping in. It sometimes
becomes stronger and stronger for you. But you also have a purpose. I mean, you really have. When we talk about, I had another guest on recently, and we were talking about being in the media or creating a business presence and being a purple cow. So there's something unique or different about your value proposition or what you're bringing forward in terms of the floral industry and in the business, and taking more of that eco strategy and being very mindful of the environment. And that's something that really resonates with me, and part of the reason I really wanted to have you on the show. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that means to you, why that's important to you?
Well, what happened was, when I was freelancing for various shops, I realized that I was taking home things that they weren't recycling, and I was recycling them at my own home. And one day it was like, wait a minute, this is what you want to do. I was running my own business part-time out of my house and had some clients, but I hadn't really kind of hit that, this is what I'm all about. And so there was that very strong realization that, okay, look at what you're doing. You're bringing home someone's recycling again, and this is what it is that you need to be doing, and this is what needs to be the focus of your business.
So there are changes that you could make that you felt that, going out on your own, you would do it differently. You would create more of a less of a carbon footprint in terms of what you're doing in a business where you're dealing with flowers.
Exactly. Well, flowers and a lot of materials that people don't really think of. They when they think of the floral industry, they think of flowers, and flowers are biodegradable. But so much goes on as well that it's like, okay, so if you're starting to recycle, you're mindful about where your flowers are coming from and how they're grown. So what else? What are the further steps to becoming more eco? And that was cutting out aerosols and a lot of the plastics and floral foams. There's a lot of things that get used.
So that oasis, right? Is that what you mean by the floral foam?
For me, that's enemy number one.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good to know. So,
yes.
There are other things you can use, like pebbles or stones or...
Exactly, using binding techniques. There's a lot of, and some of it's very old school, and I've been fortunate that I was taught a lot of old school, and then working as well with European designers, and just finding different ways to construct.
Good. So thinking differently about that.
Exactly.
All right, stay with us. We're going to be right back after the break, and Pam's going to tell us more about how she's built such a strong presence in our community and how you can too. Hi, I'm Susan Cranston, the host of Authentik You, and I'm delighted to have Pam Salisbury here. She's the owner of Florish Florals, and we've been talking about some of the enemies that are not environmentally friendly when it comes to floral design. And I'd also like to talk about something that's been fascinating to me in terms of getting to know Pam. I've bumped into her so many times in the community, and since she's started her shop back in October, ways that you've really tried to build your message, build an awareness in the community. How have you done that, and what's been successful for you, Pam?
Well, I do get out and network a lot, and I try to go to interesting events. So we've met at various events at the museum involving art and various other cultural activities, and I try to do things that are aside from the normal networking, hi, here's my card, and just meeting very interesting people. And in meeting a lot of those people, I realized that, maybe there's a way that I can further the creativity of my business. So obviously flowers and floral design is creative, but how can I bring more of that into my shop and make it, integrate into the community? So I've been having local artists, and I also feature products that are made locally by small crafters. So I have lovely beeswax candles that are made in Kitchener, and I have a great line of greeting cards that are Canadian made and eco-friendly and totally unique.
So they're aligned with your strategy, and so it's easy to promote them because it doesn't sort of contravene how you're feeling ethically about how you're approaching the business strategy, but you're also helping to give them a leg up in terms of raising awareness. So it's very symbiotic in terms of the relationship where you're helping each other. Something else that you've done, there are actually two things that I also want to focus on. You present. You have spoken at Ignite Waterloo, and so you put yourself right out and into the community in a very public way in terms of what you're doing. So tell me a little bit about, whether you're public speaking or whether you're coming on a show like this or starting up a new business, you've got experience putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. What does that mean to you? What does that look like? How do you feel when you're sort of stretched outside of those boundaries?
Well, being that I'm an introvert, these are things that are well beyond my comfort zone. And before I, felt the need to get out and start networking, because home-based, you need to get out and start promoting yourself and find different ways to get your message across, because without a storefront, people aren't walking by, and just as well giving myself some credibility. So all of that has been a stretch, from the very first time that I walked into a networking event and going, hi, I don't know anyone here, to speaking at things like Ignite. It's all a big stretch, and it's all a big leap of faith.
So what advice would you have someone who may be similar to you? You've described yourself to be more of an introvert. I haven't experienced that because I see you at all these events and you're here on the show with me. But what is it that you'd say to someone, how can they do it, or why is it possible? What advice would you give someone?
I would say just, start looking at, actually you can start with social media, which is a great icebreaker. There are so many things. We wouldn't have met if it weren't for social media.
It's true.
And we might have connected first on social media, but we met face to face. But the ice had already been broken.
That's right.
Oh, I know you. You're, yeah, I follow you on Twitter. Yeah. So that's a great way to get started and start connecting with people, and maybe meeting a few of those people one-on-one, and then start going out to events and attending. We have so many fabulous art events and things like Ignite.
Makes a difference.
Exactly.
Who helped you? Who's been most influential in helping you step outside of your comfort zone, start your business, help grow your business?
I would have to say it's not one or two particular people. It's the whole community, like just stepping out and being a part and getting such a positive response back and a lot of encouragement. And I think that's something that's very key, is you have your family and you have your friends and they're supportive, but stepping beyond them and just having a different conversation is the best way to do it.
I absolutely agree, and that's the reason I have this show, because I just wanted to profile people like you that I've met in the community who've absolutely inspired me with what they've done and moving outside of a place that's been comfortable and perhaps safe, and how embracing our community is to help support them and give them a leg up and give them a hand and help them to be successful.
Exactly.
So what are the 2 or 3 best things that have happened to you in the last 6 months?
Oh, I don't know yet.
You're still working on it.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I can say is just having my space, and again, as someone that's creative and trying to sell your product and trying to tell people, yes, I'm a florist, I create beautiful arrangements, and they might see 1 or 2 arrangements, and that's great for me, to be able to create those and deliver them, but to be able to create a space where people come in and it's like, oh, this is you, and it's like it's a further expression, and it's like, yeah, this is the space that I've created, and this is how I wanted it to feel, and people are coming in and saying, very positive things about the shop, and that's.
It's absolutely reflecting your brand and who you are in a very authentic way. So when we come back, we're going to get some advice on what someone can do who's going on a first date and might want to have an amazing floral arrangement or surprise and delight someone that's important to them. Stay with us and we'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back. I'm Susan Cranston, the host of Authentik You, and I'm here with Pam Salisbury, who's the owner of Florish Florals, and we've been talking about different kind of strategies that you can implement in terms of building your brand in the community, creating an authentic image, an authentic message around a business. And Pam recently started up her own floral design shop, her own florist shop in Kitchener back in October of 2012. And I had a burning question that was just top of my mind just before we went on the break, and I wanted to ask her this now, because not that I need it, but maybe you do. Pam, what should someone get if they're going on a first date, or they really want to impress someone, but maybe not too much so that they're scaring them away? What would you suggest in terms of floral design?
I'm just hearing the voice of a customer in my head right now. This man comes into the store once in a while, and he buys. I always have little cubes made up of brightly colored flowers, and I've met him at a couple of parties since he started becoming a customer. And when he introduces me, he's like, you have to go to Pam and you have to buy this, and you have to take your wife flowers, and don't buy her, the great big extravagant arrangement. Just buy her, the cute little cube. And I hear him giving this advice all the time now. and it's, the guys are all like, yeah, I see what you mean. And I think that's right. It's not try to be super impressive, but just give a lovely expression, just
it's
a
the
nice
gesture.
Exactly. So, don't do red or white roses or anything huge, just something small and pretty. Maybe some tulips, a few Gerber daisies, something,
The gesture to say, I'm thinking of you, wanting to give you something nice. So there are tips there that that could help someone along the way. They don't have to spend a fortune either. It's not about doing that, right?
It's just a nice, it's just a lovely gesture. Yes.
Before I forget, and I don't want to before we get to the show, you made this beautiful arrangement that's here on the table, and it's absolutely stunning. And some of the floral elements I wasn't aware of, and you mentioned one in particular, and it's already out of my mind.
Oh,
and it's considered an exotic, but you can put it in any element of the arrangement, and
exactly.
It's I just think it's the combination of the elements you put together, and the color scheme and the textures are gorgeous. Again, that would be a beautiful centerpiece in anyone's home. So tell us a bit more, going back to now that we've answered that really significant, important question. Yes. What advice would you have for someone that is stepping out of their comfort zone? We were talking about that earlier, wants to start up a business, and maybe it's not something as specific as what you're doing, but just moving away from perhaps working for someone to going out on their own. What would you tell them to say, if you're going to avoid this, if I could do this again, here's what I would tell you?
I don't know if there's if I could do this again. I'm still... It's only been, I think, 6 months, so I'm still, rolling with a lot of things, and I think that you always will roll with everything. But so I'm still, trying to find that groove and building on the walk-in traffic, that day to day. But I would say, first of all, just start talking it out. Start talking to people and get out in the community. And again, aside from your regular, obviously you're going to start with your regular friends and family, but get out into the community and find very supportive groups of people.
With influence too, people that can help you along and that are in agreement with what you're trying to do, and then leverage social media, right?
Exactly.
Which you've done amazingly well.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've done a lot of that. Hence how we know each other too.
Yes.
So what would you think of if you could look back though and say, in the last 6 months, if there was something I could do differently, and that might be a common element for someone, is there one thing that you would say right now that you wish you would have done differently?
I think I'm the the salesperson, the floral designer, the floor sweeper. Those are all the easy things. I'm also the bookkeeper, which that's not so easy. And I think you need to really recognize your weaknesses. You do have them, and that's okay. And just try to kind of head off any trouble that's around your weaknesses.
So ask for help. If you know someone that can ask for help, and playing to your strengths, which is what a lot of what we talk about on the show, but also identifying things that maybe aren't your strengths, and if you can, build what I call the entourage of people who can help you in cost-effective ways.
Exactly. And that's often a big problem, is when you're starting a business, you're on a tight budget or on a shoestring, and you have to find out ways that you can ask for help. And also, I think the one thing that I'm finding is that there is so much, like it's not the flowers, it's not processing the flowers, it's not ordering the flowers. There's a lot of business things that trip you up day to day that you need to keep on top of.
So it's understanding the business elements too. I find that with a number of people I know, whether it's hair designers or especially people who are very creative or into more of an artistic element, where it's a very separate focus for them in terms of concentrating on the business elements. So were there any courses that you would say that are important to take around, learning about business elements or starting up a business?
Being that I haven't taken any, I'm not sure. I know that there are small business, steps to opening a small business. There are several bookkeeping courses. And
through the Chamber of Commerce too, they're great support that way to, get lots of help, lots of advice, lots of resources.
Exactly. And I did have a business before I opened the store. I was working from my home, but suddenly turning the key and having so much more responsibility is, there are a lot of things that you just don't think about.
And there are times probably, because you're on this journey now and it's still fairly fresh for you, that you could be hard on yourself. and you
Definitely.
know, thinking about all those things and, you know, wondering what's next. But what I'd like to focus on is what you're most proud of. What are you most proud of in terms of what you've done since you started the business?
Just actually turning the key and opening the store like that, you know, finally doing that. It had been years I had said, no, I don't want a store, I don't want a store, I don't want a store, I don't want a store. And in reality, it was, I don't want anybody else's store. You know, I'd seen so many examples, and there are stores that work beautifully, and you know, store owners who I admire, and you know, who I take a lot of my cues from. But at you know, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, this is what my store can look like, and actually taking that leap is the.
And you should be. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm so delighted you've been on the show. Before we
Thank you.
close off, I do have one last very quick question for you. What is your favorite flower?
There's something called a gloriosa lily, which most people will not know what that is, and that is basically my favorite. But I will. It depends on the day. It depends on the season, and you know what's in the store now. It's like right now you're my favorite.
So it can change.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Absolutely delighted that you've been here. I wish you much continued success in following your passion with purpose in a very eco-minded way. So my hat's off to you. Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you, Susan.
And thank you for watching the show today. There are many choices you could have made in terms of spending the last half an hour, and we thank you for being here with us. I'd also like to thank my fabulous crew and producer here at Rogers TV Cable 20, and my Authentik You team, who I couldn't function without, my hairstylist Scott Keller, Jen Hovenga, who does my makeup and creates the fabulous jewelry that I wear, and Pam for our floral arrangement today, David Boyce for my set design, Elise Bierstock, who is a wonderful media consultant that I work closely with. And I'd also like to remind you that every day is a good day to be your authentic self. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.